the flawed promotion process of police officers. The committee cites the process as full of irregularities. Audrey Cherotich with that particular story.
When he appeared before the committee of the Department of Administration and Security in the country, Interior CS Keitany had matters to answer to.
But Chair, allow me to say this, because I'm generally also contributing, because I've captured the sentiments of the members, and I'm not here, Chair, to take sides.
The top question on the committee's agenda was to establish the genesis of the differences between the National Police Service Commission and the Police Service Commission.
Police Service, headed by the Inspector General of the Police, and the National Police Service Commission has had a public exchanges is first and foremost regrettable, and should not have happened in the first place.
Another salty issue that dominated the meeting was the promotion of some security officers, a process the committee claims was flawed.
It's not a recent matter, it's an old matter. As soon as the 2010 Constitution was promulgated and an independent National Police Service established, as well as an independent commission to handle human resource issues in the National Police Service, we have had institutional confrontation between the National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission intermittently.
The committee says the recruitment and promotion of the security officers done recently was done in a manner that did not constitute the requirements.
Give instruction that probably because all of them went.
The CS on his part acknowledges that although the process was marred by irregularities, measures to prevent the issue from recurring have been put in place.
That recruitment must be regularized without breaking the Constitution and without undermining the law of our country. That is our view. And by regularization, I am not making judgment as to who is right or who is wrong. Why do I say so? Because, Mr. Chairman, if you look at the architecture of our national security in the Constitution, the values that must guide our processes within the institutions mandated to secure the country.
Audrey Cherotich, Lookuptv.
On to matters of the finance bill, and a bicameral sitting of the National Assembly yesterday debated on sections of the controversial Finance Bill 2023 that has elicited mixed reactions from Kenyans. The lawmakers from the two sides of the political divide made amendments on 22 sections identified as most contentious before the polished and agreed report is forwarded to President Ruto for approval. Early yesterday, the opposition MPs and those of Kenya Kwanza engaged in a heated give-and-take argument over sections of the bill, as our reporter Henry Tende now files.
Nevertheless, honorable members, the House has established exceptions to this rule.
As the bicameral sitting of the National Assembly continues with a blow-by-blow debate on sections of the controversial finance bill before the revised and final report is forwarded to President William Ruto for approval, opposition and government lawmakers had a heated argument from the onset around contentious sections of the bill, with each side advancing their interests.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the appropriations bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2023, be read for the second time.
One of the contentious issues is the 16% tax proposed on petrol and petroleum products. While the government has defended this tax, opposition lawmakers were in the House today and they made their position known.
the financing of this budget is going to be a challenge, Mr. Speaker, because this country is deluding itself that we can raise ordinary revenue from 1,917 billion in the current financial year to 2,571 billion in the next financial year. That is an increase of 653 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. Very unrealistic, very ambitious, likely not to be realized.
Mr. Speaker, looking at the current budget for 2023-2024, what is going to happen is the usual things. One, we are going to start projects which we shall not be able to complete. Two, we are going, where we start projects, we are going to be able to incur further pending bills. And as you can see from the current budget, not much money has been allocated to service the pending bills. We are going to basically be digging a hole to seal another hole. Mr. Speaker, I have always said that the most prudent thing to do when you find yourselves in a situation in which we find ourselves currently is to cut our cloth according to our size. We have failed to do that. We still continue to increase our budget and hoping that we shall get revenues from elsewhere.
Honorable Speaker, it is important to highlight that among the revenue side, we anticipate to collect Kenya shillings 2.57 trillion Kenya shillings. In terms of ordinary revenue, we anticipate to collect or to have or to receive 42 billion Kenya shillings in terms of grant. And on the other side, Honorable Speaker, of expenditure, and I'm just putting the record straight because it is our responsibility, Honorable Speaker, around 986 billion Kenya shillings is actually going to CFS because we are very categorical about allocating enough resources to offset loans so that, Honorable Speaker, we do not continue on the whole of borrowing, but we actually bury the hole by allocating as much money as possible in terms of repayment of debts, and that is why in the kitty of CFS, we allocated Kenya shillings 986 billion.
A growth in budget in the next financial year is also not boding well with opposition legislators. While the government defends the budget saying it will reduce overall borrowing, the opposition lawmakers are reading sinister move from this statement as they insist the government is heavily borrowing, a situation that is putting pressure on the economy.
Kenya Kwanza government has borrowed 689 billion shillings compared to the similar period when President Uhuru was in power, when only 405 billion was raised. So this talk that we hear all the time, that Kenya Kwanza is curtailing and managing debt, it is just hypocritical, it is theoretical.
In just mere 7 months or so, we have seen cases of corruption that should worry all of us, beginning with the mosquito nets corruption case. Mr. Speaker, the second issue has been the matter of the condemned sugar. We did not know as yet what became of the matter of the sugar which was condemned and was stolen from our own warehouse.
The members are currently embroiled in a debate with 22 contentious sections set for amendments. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Now, that is the minority leader, Opiyo Wandayi, over there expressing his dissatisfaction with some of the tax proposals in the finance bill. That particular story by Henry Tende brings us to the close of this particular bulletin here on the Morning Drift. I'll be taking a short break, but I'll be back with a conversation surrounding leadership and governance, and I'll be joined by Mr. Njuguna Mwangi, who is a governance expert, and Mr. Edwin Kigoli, who's a policy expert. Is the government having the right policies in place to ensure that Kenyans thrive? Is the government creating an enabling environment for Kenyans to thrive? That after the break. Don't go away.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray. Pray.
KM Lookup Media, the holding company for Muthingi and Lookuptv, proudly presents the Mount Kenya Region Roadshow. It's time to mark your calendars because from June 26 to July 1st, 2023, we are bringing the excitement to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Nyeri, Nyandarua, and Nakuru counties. Are you ready to be a part of an electrifying TV roadshow? Join us as we embark on a thrilling journey through the magnificent Mount Kenya region. Lookuptv and Muthingi TV are hitting the road. We are coming straight to your towns. But that's not all. We are not just bringing you TV. We are bringing you an unforgettable experience. Enjoy your favorite comedians like Njoro wa Ukulima ni Mali, Marafiki, among others, live performances, and get a chance to meet your favorite TV personalities right in your own town. To our sponsors and partners, book your slot for the greatest brand experience and conversions. To book this fast-moving opportunity, call 0110-430-158 or email sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Get ready to be swept off your feet as we bring the magic of television to your doorstep. Let the TV adventure begin.
Usiwahi cheza na mboga yangu. Na unafuata nani? Usikuone ukinifuata. Nimekwambia una shares kwa hii kuku.
Look, man. Hebu kwanza rudi ndani ufresh hiyo chona make sure umespray.
Juli kwani wewe? Hii tumbo yako mimi najua inaweza ingiza kila kitu. Hata chuma nikishiaga nikupea hata plastic najua utakula. Kwani leo kunaendaje? Kuna kitu sielewi.
Kabisa Mluya. Yaani umeamua kulala uchi.
Sasa kama hakuna ile nguo inanitosha unataka nifanye aje?
Because you are fat.
Sasa ukiongelea mimi ati fat. Na Julie tutasemaje?
Kuja.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your number one show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. you get it right here on Tujage Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get it.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Maliki?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu ni mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitany, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
It's all about trying out fresh meals. As you know, your health comes first. Experience a tasty and sweet aroma in your kitchen today. It's not just about cooking, but also having fun, interesting conversations, keeping it professional, and not forgetting refreshing moments.
Oh, let me tell you, mine is gonna be
The Cook-Off with Alex Karani, Saturdays at 6 p.m.
Today we are hosting the Lotto Foundation as they do a food distribution to the community. The community involves people from Huruma. Huruma is where we have the home for the aged. So quite a population from the home are getting the gift packs. Most of our children come from Githogoro and Huruma. These are informal settlements. Honestly, these parents have not been working. The number of children that will come to me, even the ones who are not in school, and tell me, Mwalimu, we have not fed for 3-4 days, is quite huge. So this will go a long way. A family that has not fed for 3 days, they will at least get a meal. We also thank Lotto. This is the second time that you're coming, and it always makes a difference. It always makes a difference.
Thank you for your help. Together, we are changing lives.
Well, a very good morning to you yet again. This is the Morning Drift here on Lookuptv. And like I promised before we went on a short breather, I told you today we'll be talking about matters leadership and governance. Now, I'll not be talking about this alone. I'll be joined by Mr. Edwin Kigoli via Skype will be helping us to understand, is the environment here in the country enabling to ensure that Kenyans thrive? Are the policies by the government the right ones? Is everything that the government is doing in check, and does it align to the principles of governance and leadership? Now, right away, we'll jump straight to this particular conversation. And Mr. Kigoli, I don't know if you can hear me. We're talking about leadership and governance. Now, we do know that governance is about policies and policy making and ensuring that the policies we have in place are good enough to ensure that Kenyans do thrive in whatever aspect, in the public or private sector. Now, how do you rate the state of governance in this country, Mr. Kigoli?
Thank you very much, and our viewers. I'm delighted to join you this morning. And my initial reaction is that any sound and legitimate government would come in place with the sole purpose of transforming lives and improving the standards of living as well. And when this government came into power, it came at a time when the economy was in between a rock and a hard place. We needed a leadership that would innovate and be pragmatic in its approach in terms of implementing the policy measures that would transform the fortunes of the country. And it is still debatable as to whether this current government is getting it right in terms of fixing the issues that are facing Kenyans and the country at large. And we as a nation, we are run by policies and pieces of legislation that are, enacted or formulated by the respective arms of government or agencies there. And when you look at the elephant in the room or the subject matter at hand, you would want to ask yourself, when this finance bill 2023 was being formulated, what parameters were being considered in terms of determining what percentage to allocate to what item? And you want to ask yourself, what is the essence of moving the VAT on fuel from 8% to 16%? Of what economic ramification is it going to have in terms of improving the lives of people or worsening the lives of people? Now, when you tax a lot more on fuel, it means you are practically affecting every other sector of the economy, because transport is run on fuel and industries are run on fuel. They need this energy to run. Now, the cost of producing power is going to go up because the cost of getting fuel, the diesel to run these turbines and generate energy is going to cost a lot more money. And eventually the taxpayer is going to bear that burden. Now, what is the right thing to do? And many times you find political leaders coming to ask themselves, what is the easiest thing to do, rather than what is the right thing to do? The current administration is telling Kenyans that brace for tougher times for the next year or so, or the next year or two, and then things will start to get better. Now, there is no guarantee that things will get better, okay? But there is assurance that tough times are here, all right? So what the government ought to do, and actually even before we get there, what is it that they are doing? What they are doing is they are telling we are stopping forthwith this endless borrowing so that we do not continue to grow public debt. Now, if a child is born, do you stop breastfeeding them at once, or you gradually wean them? So you have to acclimatize them. You have to make them learn that, okay, this one is reducing. Not like just like closing the tap all at once, and then people are wondering, what are we supposed to do? So what I think is, borrowing is not bad, but what do you borrow to do, okay? If you borrow and utilize the money, invest in infrastructure project that would cause a ripple effect in the economy and cause multiplier effect, then you are engaging the economy in the right way. Now, even US has a debt, but how do they manage their debt? How do they channel or direct the funds realized in terms of raising debt, all right? So they invest in projects that are helping the economy to grow. When you look at the country we have, it has so much potential, much as there is great peril. Now, when we have a sound, practical, and transparent leadership, this leadership will make decisions on policy matters that are going to help ease the tough times that Kenyans are facing, because this bill does not guarantee that the economy is going to grow. It means Kenyans are bracing for tougher times, because what essentially is going to happen, there's going to be increased taxation, and when there is increased taxation, people don't have money to spend. Now, when you talk about spending from an economic policy perspective, it means you're spending to drive an economy. And if you don't
Mr. Kigoli, kindly, sorry for interrupting you. Before you talk about spending, you've specifically mentioned matters borrowing. And the president has been very vocal, and he said he will not borrow. He will not borrow more. He will not be on a borrowing spree. And in the beginning of the year, the CS for Treasury said it told Kenyans to tighten their belts because things are going to be tougher, meaning they anticipated the country to be where we are at the moment. Now, in the budget, they're going to fund the deficit in the 2023-2024 budget through borrowing, around 718 billion. Now, of the 718 billion, 588 billion will be money from local lenders, and 131 will be money from international lenders. Now, I would want to know from you, is the president's policy on borrowing, reducing borrowing and ensuring that you get to fund your projects through taxes, is it the right policy really, having it in mind the state of our Kenyan economy at the moment?
When you look at the policy on borrowing, they say we are going to reduce public debt. But look at the statistics. Numbers don't lie. Compare the same period with President Uhuru Kenyatta and their current 9 months in office. They have borrowed more, and this is well documented and attested to by the control of budget. The government is borrowing much as they're saying they don't want to borrow, okay? So borrowing is not a bad thing, but what we need is sincerity from government. Can they tell us, this is the policy we are advancing. We are significantly reducing borrowing, and in turn, we are doing this because government raises revenue in two main ways. Number one is through taxation. That is, we Kenyans must be taxed for government to raise revenue. Number two, and also most importantly, is borrowing. So if government cannot borrow, it means it has to tax you and me, okay? So if we are taxed less, it means the government has to borrow more. There is no any other magic to this. It is as simple and plain as that. Now, what the government should do is tell us, within the course of our financial year or the next financial year, we are going to significantly reduce borrowing while creating an enabling environment for the private sector to grow, to bring many people into that taxable bracket, so that we are many people who are paying taxes and government has improved its chance of collecting revenue. If you tax people as you are doing right now, what you're doing essentially is dampening the business environment, and businesses will not thrive because they will wind up and people will go home. And when they go home, they don't have money. And when they don't have money, they can't spend, they can't pay taxes, and government cannot get revenue. What will it do? It will be forced to borrow. Even if it doesn't want, it must borrow. So the practical measure that this government must take, and this government must accept to get counsel. It must get, and wise counsel, by the way, because where we are as a country, we don't need politics. We need leadership. The country is in a political quagmire, in an economic crisis. We are at a debt distress, okay? When you look at the figures and the numbers coming up from, the Central Bank of Kenya, the Capital Markets Authority, you want to look at the Treasury, the Ministry of, the Treasury. You want to compare those digits and look at what exactly is the economic proposition of this government in terms of running the economy. So what they say is they want to empower small businesses. But on the other hand, Kenya Revenue Authority says you must pay us taxes. So you start working this month. Please, at the end of the month, we're expecting you to start remitting taxes. So we don't have tax incentives. We don't have tax breaks. We don't have tax reliefs that would give businesses a breathing space, to break even and be able to contribute significantly to the economy.
Mr. Kigoli, just want to take you to the claims by Raila Odinga and his team yesterday. And they said the government, in the last 10 days, just a week before the end of the financial year 2022-2023, they said the government borrowed 213 billion locally from local lenders, and at a very, very interesting interest rate, or exaggerated, like they say, interest rate, a rate of 15.84%. Now, the PS for Treasury, that is Mr. Chris Kipto, admitted that they borrowed that particular money in the last 10 days, but he said it is the routine Treasury infrastructure bond, and the interest is aligned to the current market rate. What do you make of that?
Nothing should be as bad as long as it doesn't interest me. Because when President Kenyatta was in power, some of the top-ranking government officials were on a day-to-day basis criticizing his borrowing and the interest rates levied on these loans. Now, when you look at the current state of affairs, it leaves a lot to be desired. It makes you think, why was the criticism? Was it because of politics, or it was guided by objectivity and reason? These interests that are charged on loans, like the facility that was just borrowed locally, it means government took the loan in distress. It took the loan a matter of, we have to do it, okay? So there is that sort of desperation. And the market has understood, you've come for this facility because you are in distress. Either way, you have to take it. Now, when the market realizes there is a room for me to make a niche, it will, of course, and it will charge a levy that it feels, yeah, this is good for me in terms of a business angle. And what we need to do, and this government in particular, is they need to get their act together. They need to realize they are in power. They need to realize that they carry the hopes and the dreams and the future of this country. And every decision that is made, let it be free from political myopia, because this myopia is one that blinds, most public officials or civil servants from making futuristic decisions and going for those that suit the current time, like what can satisfy us today. So if we can get a government that is focusing on policies are going to help us move forward, we are going to make progress from that standpoint. So I think moving forward as a country, we are at a point where the defining challenge of the time is how to create an economic turnaround, growth and development. And that means we have to make some serious sacrifices that will help us. Now, I don't say, like, for instance, the Finance Bill 2023 is bad entirely. No. There are aspects in it that are okay. There are aspects in it that dampen, the whole thing. So what government needs to do is to harmonize and reconcile and bring all these things together so that we get something that works for everyone and not those at it.
Now, you talked about the cost of electricity, almost going up in the next few months, and in the local dailies today, they've, as well alluded to that. The cost of a unit of electricity in April To be precise, April 1st shot up to around 37 shillings. That is per unit. Now, you said, and we all do know that the rise in value-added tax on petroleum products from 8 to 16% will directly translate to a rise in the cost of common commodities. Already, the cost of living isn't bearable for many Kenyans, and then many Kenyans are, many families are, only taking a meal a day. Now, during the campaign period as well, I want to, take you back. The president was very vocal on matters, the cost of living, and he promised to bring the cost of living down. But as it stands, the situation is not that good as well, Mr. Kigoli. What policies does the government need to put in place to cushion Kenyans? Because really, you and I, all of us, Kenyans out there, millions, over 49 million Kenyans are grappling with a high cost of living. What does this government, what does the president, the CS for Treasury, the PS, Dr. Kipto, what do they have to do to ensure that Kenyans are really, really cushioned from the tough economic times?
I'll go back to what I said. The government must accept, and if they stop the pumping, they can really make progress. And the government has already demonized subsidies, and this is one way of lowering of living. If you offer subsidies, it means the cost of basic commodities are going to come down. Government says we are doing away with subsidies altogether, and instead
Mr. Kigoli, I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, I can hear you. Mr. Kigoli, I don't know if you can hear me, because as we speak, by the way, the inflation, the inflation rate in the country is at around 9.2%. Now, a month before President William Ruto took over office, the inflation rate was about 8.54%. Now, Kenya's debt is around 9 trillion. President William Ruto is on the record saying that the country's debt rose from 4 trillion to 9 trillion in the last 6-7 years. Safe to say that in as much as the president and his allies talk about being out of government after the handshake between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, he was part of that particular government. And if you talk about 5-7 years, it means it runs back to their first term. Now, as we speak, the country is grappling with a lot of, mismanagement and misappropriation of funds. But the question is, can President William Ruto and his economic team, the Ministry of, the Treasury Department, his economic team led by, of course, renowned economist David D, can they have proper policies to cushion Kenyans? Because many Kenyans are struggling, but as well at a time when there are scandals right, left, and center. For example, the edible oil scandal or saga that implicated the trade and industry CS, that is Moses Kuria, might cost Kenyans, almost to the taxpayer, 6 billion Kenyan shillings. 6 billion Kenyan shillings. You can imagine what that amount of money could help, how it could help in trying to ensure that Kenyans are cushioned. Before we lost Mr. Kigoli was talking about subsidies. We do know that the president was very, very vocal during his inauguration, and he talked about subsidizing production. And he was very vocal about matters fertilizer. And to be specific, he said the cost of fertilizer then was around 6,500. They say give credit where it's due. After he took over office, so far so good, the president and the government have disbursed around 1.4 million bags of fertilizer. But there's the drought as well. So the situation has not really changed. And Mr. Kigoli, I don't know if you can hear me now. You were talking about subsidies and seems like we have a short problem, but before, as we sort that out, I was talking about the matters of fertilizer. The price was at 6,500, and like I said, you give credit where it's due. The prices came down to around 3,500, but only 1.4 million bags were supplied or given or supplied to farmers per se. Now, despite that, the situation has not really changed that much because, owing to the fact that we have had a drought that has affected or has paralyzed almost everything because there's no rain, farmers are really struggling, and they say it is arguably the worst drought in years. The question is, what then has the president, or does the president have in store for Kenyans? President himself is still making promises, and there's some things that you'd say maybe he has achieved, but some of them he has failed terribly. I just want to, give you a preview of, some of the promises that Dr. William Ruto made, and one of them was the cost of living, lowering the cost of living. You'd want to say he's almost there, but still is not there because you cannot say he's failed terribly and he's not done well. It's somewhere in between because despite the measures in place to cushion Kenyans, looks like it's still not working. So the president really has to come up with better policies. Now, the issue of one of the promises, I just want to take you through the promises by Dr. William Ruto. One of the promises was the financial inclusion and, of course, access to credit. That is one area that, as well, I'd want to give the president 5 out of 10, because in November 30th of November, beg your pardon, 2022, he launched the Hustler Fund, which there were cases left, right, and center on whether the amount given to Kenyans can, help them to better their, the state of affairs in their families. Can they get themselves out of the band, for lack of a better term, economically? That you'd give the president credit for that. Now, one other thing that the president was very, very vocal, it doesn't really revolve around matters economy, but he promised to fight matters or the issue of banditry in the northern region. Safe to say that ever since the government rolled out the measures to tackle the issue of banditry in the larger northern region, safe to say the guns have gone silent. For some time, we've seen almost complete reduction in the cases of bandits raiding homes in Samburu, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana, Baringo, West Pokot, all those counties. You'd give the president credit for that, as well with the Ministry of Interior. And of course, remember the CS for Interior, that is Mr. Kithure Kindiki, has been all over the country trying to ensure that everything works, because he has not only been battling the issue of banditry in the northern region, but as well the issue of religious chaos has been in. We do know about the Shakahola massacre has also been there. So you'd say the president has you'd give him credit for tackling matters banditry. One other promise that the president, you'd say, has met as the diverting of services from the Naivasha port to Mombasa, which happened. Now, one other thing, and this affects everyone in one way or the other, and this is something that has been or is in the finance bill, is the affordable housing program. Now, President William Ruto, I don't know whether you'd call this shifting of goalposts, because the president said many Kenyans are living under deplorable conditions. They need houses, and he came up with the affordable housing program to help get Kenyans into proper housing. Now, in the finance bill, they had proposed 3% deduction from the employer and the employee to fund this particular program, but it was later on reduced to 1.5%. But now, I know you're wondering why I talked about shifting the goalpost. The president on Sunday, while attending a Thanksgiving service in Kakamega County, said the biggest aim of the affordable housing program, because it said around 250,000 houses will be constructed, at least 250,000 houses a year. And I said the main reason for this particular program is to create employment. Talking about creating at least 1 million jobs to the youth through this particular program a year. Now, is it a matter of killing two birds with the same stone. Tackling the matter of housing, as well as creating employment for the youth in the country. Because the biggest problem in the country, apart from, we talk about corruption, that is one big problem, one major problem, but as well the issue of unemployment continues to be a key concern, because millions of Kenyans are unemployed. Thousands of campus graduates continue to get into the market, the job market, year in, year out. But the situation does not change. The situation is getting worse. But we'll be talking with Mr. Edwin Kigoli more on what the government needs to do, the economic policies in place after this short break. Don't go away.
Infinity Industrial Park is one of the largest private industrial parks located along Eastern Bypass, Nairobi, which provides modern infrastructure for smooth operations for industries and business enterprises. Infinity Industrial Park offers world-class amenities and facilities with wide roads, a police station, a power substation, fire station, public transport stage, hospital, and shopping mall. In addition, Infinity Industrial Park also offers CCTV cameras, 24-hour private armed security patrol, sewer, water, fiber optic cable, and 3-phase power connection, added to public utility, canteen, and dining areas. Sail on the golden opportunity to invest in Infinity Industrial Park fully serviced warehouses at a special price of 3,569 Kenyan shillings per square foot. For more inquiries, visit our website infinityindustrialpark.com.
KM Lookup Media, the holding company for Muthingi and Lookuptv, proudly presents the Mount Kenya Region Roadshow. It's time to mark your calendars, because from June 26 to July 1st, 2023, we are bringing the excitement to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Nyeri, Nyandarua, and Nakuru counties. Are you ready to be a part of an electrifying TV roadshow? Join us as we embark on a thrilling journey through the magnificent Mount Kenya region. Lookuptv and Muthingi TV are hitting the road. We are coming straight to your towns. But that's not all. We are not just bringing you TV. We are bringing you an unforgettable experience. Enjoy your favorite comedians like Njoro wa Ukulima ni Mali, Marafiki, among others, live performances, and get a chance to meet your favorite TV personalities right in your own town. To our sponsors and partners, book your slot for the greatest brand experience and conversions. To book this fast-moving opportunity, call 0110-430-158 or email sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Get ready to be swept off your feet as we bring the magic of television to your doorstep. Let the TV adventure begin.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Remember, this particular conversation surrounds leadership and governance, and the state of the Kenyan economy. Kenyans are struggling, and the situation might not get better anytime soon, because if everything in the finance bill goes through, remember the National Assembly still voting on particular clauses that have been amended, making amendments and voting on particular clauses. Most importantly is the clause on value added tax. Of course, that has been proposed to move from 8% to 16%. That is one contentious issue. The other contentious tax proposals in the finance bill that the opposition says are punitive and cannot make life better for the common man. And as well, like I said earlier, the House and of course the committee, because these amendments are also based on the report made by the Committee on Finance, that is led by Molo MP Kimani Kuria, on after the public participation. And after the voting on particular clauses, around 22 different contentious clauses, a final report will be made and of course forwarded to the head of state. After around 14 days, it will be assented into law. That means the situation economically might get even tougher. Question is, are you prepared? Because as we speak, the cost of common commodities, 2 kgs or a kg of sugar at the moment goes for around 220, 230. 2 kgs goes for around 460. If you'd walk into a supermarket today with probably 500 shillings note, you most probably will just pick 2 kgs of sugar and get yourself a carrier bag. You're done. That showcases how tough things are in the country. But it's about to get worse. Because if the proposals are centered into law, it means that everything will shoot up. The prices of common commodities, and like we also alluded to, is that the price of electricity, the cost of electricity will go up. Remember, and just to take you through some of the scandals in the country at the moment, or what you'd say misappropriation of funds or mismanagement of key government institutions. Firstly, we had the KEMSA scandal, the 3.7 billion mosquito nets tender that was awarded to a firm that the Global Fund said did not meet the requirements. Now, that meant that those who are to benefit, residents of over 20 counties who are to benefit from that particular program, did not benefit. Why? Because of a flawed procurement process. Why? Because we have officials in key government institutions. I mean, KEMSA is is one of the most important government institutions under the Ministry of Health. Now, suspensions were made. One of the key, persons in that particular sector or ministry was suspended include PS Josephine Mburu, who, like I said, also implicated PS Peter Toon. But as we speak, and this is the problem that I've said is bedeviling us as a country. We suspend people, but they're not held accountable. And if at all they're held accountable, taken to court. This is where people are arguing about or talking about having a proper judicial system. Because most of the times, someone might get away with 30 million taxpayers' money through either a flawed procurement process or just misappropriation of funds. That happens. It is the order of the day here in the country. Taken to court, a person is taken to court, but the measures taken by the court are too lenient. Fines given by the court are too lenient. Someone cannot have or might not or cannot be accused and proven to have made away with millions of money. For example, 30 million, like I've alluded to, and the fine given is 2 million. I mean, that is ridiculous. We, in as much as we are talking about people being held accountable, being taken to court, we also need to tighten the grip and fix our judicial system. That takes me to one of the promises by Dr. William Ruto on the independent funding of the judiciary. That he said will help operationalize the judiciary and help it, manage itself. Because previously, the funding of the judiciary was under the executive. Now as well, there's the NHIF scandal, which is currently under investigation. Apart from that, there's the edible oil scandal, because over 25,000 metric tons of edible oil was imported. What Moses Kuria says was a measure by the government to protect Kenyans, to protect you and I. Is that the case? Well, I'd want us to go back to Mr. Kigoli. Mr. Kigoli, I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yes.
Now, you were talking about subsidies and how President Ruto was or is planning to go about it. Maybe before I go to the next question, maybe can you finish up on that particular statement?
Now, when the cost of living is high and out of the reach for the common citizens, a responsible government will have to do whatever it takes to ensure that life is bearable and life is livable. Now, if government is demonizing subsidies as in the manner it has, it means it is fearing to go back to subsidies, even if it is the only practical way to lower the cost of living. And that means the government will continue to stubbornly refuse to institute or introduce subsidies because it is fearing backlash, that it is going back on its decision. But then it is okay to change your mind depending on the dictates of the time. And what the government needs to do is to sober up and take in real sense the reins of government, because we're not in a campaign mode right now. We are in the actual delivery phase where citizens are expecting service delivery from the government. If the government continues to engage in rhetoric and sideshows and political maneuvers than offering leadership and practical solutions to the problems that are facing Kenyans, then Kenyans will not see it as a hope that they wish to have. So if this government wants to make Kenya take off from where it is economically, then it has to do what it must do. And when you don't have sound economic and political and administrative policies to implement your programs, your projects, your plan, then you'll just have yourself to blame. Because when you look at the plan, which is the blueprint, this government guiding its implementation, when it was being launched, they talked about a lot of things, right from agriculture, right into infrastructure, into investments in industries, revival of plants and factories that have run down. But up to this point, would an independent analyst say, yes, the government is in the right trajectory? Yes, Kenyans are getting the value for their trust in this government. That subject is debatable, okay? Because look at the economic outlook of the country. Look at the numbers that have been put out there to project its growth or shrinking. Now, this comes down to how do you implement your macro and macroeconomic policies. If you don't get it right at micro level, then we will only have beautiful numbers at macro level, but the greatest suffering is with the people. When you look at Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it reports over 70% of Kenyans rely on informal employment, meaning small businesses that start up here and there, where people get something to fend for themselves. When you analyze and look at the business environment as it is right now, it doesn't offer much relief as one would expect it to offer a great chance for these businesses to grow and thrive. We want them to grow and thrive because, number one, we want people to have better standards of living. Number two, we want people to be able to make purchases, and those purchases will attract taxes, and government will get revenue and implement its programs and plans. Number three, with improving business environment, it becomes a center of attraction to foreign direct investment, because those foreign direct investors will look at it and say, I think the business environment in Kenya is very conducive. I have my $100 billion that I want to invest in Kenya, say in the energy sector or in the transport industry or in the banking sector. And that it means we are going to have many more opportunities to grow in terms of expanding the economy, putting more people to work, and a lot of people racking in a lot of money and paying taxes and revenue. Because these investments are going to attract foreign exchange. And when you look at our exports, and that is another subject altogether. When you look at the way we do our exports, these exports are the ones that also help significantly to drive the economy of any given country. So then, tea is our major export, standing at about 1 billion, like US dollars annually. What can we do to even double the numbers or even triple the numbers so that it is standing $3 billion a year? Let's look at whatever else we're exporting. Hide, the textiles, the locally manufactured goods. Can we do value addition to them? Can we incentivize these people, the private sector? Now, you had talked about the 213 billion facility that was borrowed last week. What this means is that the private sector is stifled of money because this money is invested in the government bond, all right? And government is the safest borrower. And banks will lend to government more it can lend to an individual because government is risk-free. So the banks want their money. So they will put their money where their mouth is. And where their mouth is if I put my money in government bonds or treasury bills, I'm going to get returns, guaranteed. Now, if we lend it to person X, there is a possibility they could run down. There is a possibility the business could wound and they lose the money. So it's now a bad debt. So if government overborrows in the domestic market, it means the people cannot borrow to grow because the banks won't have money to lend you to finance your business plan or implement your entrepreneurial activities.
Well, Mr. Kigoli, thank you very much. By the way, the 213 billion that was borrowed is more than half of the total approved annual domestic borrowing. Now, earlier on you were talking about the spending, and the Kenya Kwanza administration has been on the spot over its spending. And earlier on in the year, somewhere around March, they said, a report said the office of the president was planning to set aside around 2 billion in the next financial year, the 2023-2024, to fund his trips overseas. Now, we've seen the deputy president talking about them finding empty coffers, but still the amount of money being spent by the Kenya Kwanza administration, be it on trips abroad, be it on meetings that are held locally. We almost see weekly meetings every day in State House Nairobi. But as well, at a time when the government is talking about there being not being enough money, we've seen scandals after scandals. There was the KEMSA 3.7 mosquito net tender that was cancelled by the Global Fund. The recent one, the edible oil expose that was linked to CS Moses Kuria. It might cost the taxpayer the taxpayer might lose around 6 billion shillings. I mean, this is a lot of money, Mr. Kigoli. Really, can the president, because you've talked about, rhetoric, and he keeps on promising more, what needs to be done? Should these people be sent home? Because Mr. Kigoli, really, 6 billion shillings in one scandal, 3.7 in another. There's the NHIF scandal. I mean, scandals left, right, and center, misappropriation of funds. Yet, there's no money to cushion Kenyans from the tough economic times.
That's a $1 billion question, isn't it? Because look at it. When we Kenyans are given a chance to choose leaders, whom do we choose? We run into our ethnic cocoons and elect our tribe's man and woman to represent us. The process is, or the results are good as the process. If the process is flawed, the results can never be right. So look at the way government has been appointing persons into offices, public offices. They are skewed towards some tribes, all right? One would ask, there is no merit in other tribes, and if you want to reverse a negative trajectory in any given country, it must be wholesome. You cannot talk about the beautification of economic policies while dampening the public confidence in the appointment, or you are further eroding the issue of tribalism, all right? So if you're appointing persons into offices, could you try to rationalize? Could you try to create a different image that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or your tribe is? You could be my friend, yes, but I need merit, because in the end, I need output. And output is determined by the effort you put in and the skill you deploy to guarantee results. If this government wants to get it right, first of all, let it be fair and meritorious in terms of appointments into public offices. Let it get people who are qualified into public offices. When you look at all the CASs appointed into offices, one would question the integrity and the rationale behind 50 CASs. You know, like, what is it that was so overlapping that we needed these positions? Now, these positions were never a consequence of a flagship, project or program, were never a consequence of a deliberate and direct need. These were political appointments to satisfy friends and cronies who are supporting political causes. Now, you get somebody into a docket of security and they have got no experience at all, no educational background in the same. They have got no idea how security operations are done. They have got no framework on how the entire security structure operates. You see, so that tells you that this appointment was meeting something else other than effective public service delivery. Now, the thing is, we Kenyans, do we ever learn? And the answer is, we don't learn. Going by the available evidence, elections are done today, we will get the same wrong answer as we have been getting, because this person will come and say, this our person, this our person. And that is going to be the criteria on which we are going to employ them or to elect them into office. And when you are elected on the platform of ethnicity, corruption, deceit, and they say conmanship and all those bad terms, does not fall far from the tree. Okay, so the results are almost a guaranteed, a given. So if Kenyans can change the way they do things, the way they electing leaders into public offices, can we get in MPs who are independent thinkers, people who can make decisions and not be swayed by the executive whims? Can MPs grow fast like the judiciary has tried to grow, that it can make independent decisions and render decisions against the executive? MPs will always swing in the direction of the executive. When the president coughs, the MPs will ask, what does he want? MPs will not even attempt to give an independent thought anything the executive proposes. So they will swallow wholesomely without even try and separate the chaff, get some finer details for Kenyans, appear to be working. Yet this is the legislative house that is the sole law-making body that we have in this country. Yet we do not have confidence, many Kenyans, that Parliament can stand at a time when Kenyans are tested in time and save them.
Well, it's good and interesting that you've talked about appointments in government, because one of the principles that I know of governance is equity and inclusivity. Now, there's the issue, and I want us to talk about the issue of one of the promises by the president, and the policy of on affordable housing. Now, the president has been shifting goalposts. When earlier in his reign as president, he talked about doing away with the kazi mtaani to create employment for the youth through planting of trees. From planting of trees, the president said, no, I don't want you to do that. I want to create employment for you guys through the affordable housing. Now, the youth will be employed, because he said he plans to create around 1 million jobs through the 250,000 houses to be constructed yearly. But begs the question, is he really trying to kill, like I said, two birds using one stone by solving the issue of housing and creating employment, or is he really just shifting goalposts from one from one promise to another? Because at the end of the day, one of the principles of governance is accountability and framework. Because the president keeps on saying, I will do this by the 1st of June. Right now, he's talking about providing motorcycles that will not be using fuel, but they will be charged. And he says it will be rolled out in September this year, September 1st. There is the gas issue. The president says the prices of gas will come down. When he was asked, again, he said, no, I was not talking about the gas. I was talking about the gas cylinders, and the prices of the gas cylinders will come down this month. Now, is the president really addressing the issue, or is he just keeping on shifting the goalposts? Mr. Kigoli.
I think what is becoming apparent is the fact that government engages in a lot of rhetoric and less practical. Because, as I had said earlier, a matter is as good to the extent that it is of interest to me. Because, look, they were demonizing the former regime because of borrowing. But immediately they took over the reins of government. We've seen borrowing at its highest in record, 9 months. And they actually talked about the Keitany initiative. And they raised a lot of questions about it. Now, right now, they are talking about the housing project, okay? So the question is, how does it differentiate in terms of substance with the Keitany? The rallying point on the housing project is to create jobs for the young people. But the question is, how many jobs are you going to create? And how long are they going to last? Yes, housing project is a good program, and it is a necessity, all right? But it doesn't mean it can only be accomplished in the 2023-2024 financial year. Now, what this government is lacking sometimes is the sincerity part, okay? So if you do not agree with this decision, don't just refuse to agree with it because it is person X moving it, okay? And you agree with it when it is your friend who is moving it. So you must be consistent. And even in the words of Nelson Mandela, a person who changes his mind depending on who is dealing with is not worth of leading a nation. And by any chance, if they get a chance to lead a nation, the fractures and the fissures will be evident. And look, right now, you can ask anywhere you want if there is like optimism that a lot of things can change for the better. There are so many reservations out there. And this is even attested to by independent experts who agree that it doesn't look quite as it should be, you know. So what the government needs to do is to get its act together. Let them decelerate on promises, because they've been promising all along. Now it is implementation. Can we see change? Can we see practical steps and decisions being taken to move this country forward? But this trajectory of senior government officials coming out and lashing out the media and implementing policies that are regressive and oppressive to the economy and advancing policy initiatives that do not help much is not going to help the country grow. And it's just going to make the business environment a lot tougher, and things are just not going to work even like in the long run, because failure sometimes it comes from a distance. You see it from a distance, all right? And if you do not discern correctly, if you don't discern, then you're likely to be caught at that day when you wake up and everything has turned completely. So Kenya has so much immense potential in terms of its economy. I mean, look at our agricultural sector, look at our banking sector, look at, you know, like the service sector of this country in general. We got the most entrepreneurial and innovative young minds in this country that can really tap into the economy powerfully. But look at the way the government wants to tax them. It leaves a lot to be desired if this can be realized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kigoli. Unfortunately, time is up, but it is the hope of Kenyans that really the government can implement its agenda and get the policies right in trying to ensure that it creates an enabling environment for Kenyans to thrive, Kenyans in the public or the private sector and businesses, to at least ensure that Kenyans are cushioned. Thank you very much for joining us this particular morning, Mr. Kigoli. Well, was Mr. Kigoli and just the state of affairs in the country. Remember, like he has alluded to, the president and the Kenya Kwanza administration is in limbo because at the moment things are not really falling into place. There are scandals right, left, and center. The president is yet to fulfill some of his key, and I say key because he has fulfilled some, but some of the key promises that he made during the campaign period, the cost of living, and of course, creating an enabling environment for Kenyans to thrive. So it is the hope of many Kenyans. Like you saw, over 19 million Kenyans are poor according to statistics by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. So only time will tell. But if everything in the finance bill goes through, then tighten your belts, like Professor Jingina Ndungu said. With that, we've come to the end of this particular conversation here on The Morning Drift. We'll be going on a short break, but I'll be coming back with another conversation surrounding matters insurance. Don't go away.
KM Lookup Media, the holding company for Muthingi and Lookuptv, proudly presents the Mount Kenya Region Roadshow. It's time to mark your calendars because from June 26 to July 1st, 2023, we are bringing the excitement to Kiambu, Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Meru, Laikipia, Nyeri, Nyandarua, and Nakuru counties. Are you ready to be a part of an electrifying TV roadshow? Join us as we embark on a thrilling journey through the magnificent Mount Kenya region. Lookuptv and Muthingi TV are hitting the road. We are coming straight to your towns. But that's not all. We are not just bringing you TV. We are bringing you an unforgettable experience. Enjoy your favorite comedians like Njoro wa Ukulima ni Mali, Marafiki, among others, live performances, and get a chance to meet your favorite TV personalities right in your own town. To our sponsors and partners, book your slot for the greatest brand experience and conversions. To book this fast-moving opportunity, call 0110-430-158 or email sales@lookuptv.co.ke. Get ready to be swept off your feet as we bring the magic of television to your doorstep. Let the TV adventure begin.
As the night falls, we come to life to bring you a comprehensive broadcast from the numerous events happening across our 47 counties.
When it breaks, it matters, and each story is important.
If it's Thursday, join me, Nancy Lima, and my able panelists as we break down the law jargons and analyze the Constitution in a way only you can understand.
The news cycle never stops, neither does time. We cover each and every sector and present to you factual and accurate occurrences. This is where facts win the day. Join me,
Nancy Lima,
Ian Keitany, Tuesday, every Wednesday,
Thursday,
as from 9 p.m. on The Insight, only on Lookuptv.
Hi, and welcome to Tujenge Home. Your #1 show when it comes to all things architecture, real estate, property development, interior design. You get it right here on Tujage Home. When the food is ready.
You want to serve them?
Dinner is served. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful, wonderful, glorious. We are having the show that we share entitled Shepherd Voice.
I'm waiting for you to get me to Kenya. That's what I'm waiting
for you.
God is the source of every blessings that flow into your life.
And I know that God is going to bless you and to do a new thing.
Pray. Pray.
Mizizi Africa Homes is Kenya's fastest growing property development company. We offer home and investment solutions that are cost-effective and of the highest quality. If you are an aspiring homeowner, look no further than Mizizi Africa Homes for the best competitive rates in town. Introducing our new project at Bustani ya Mizizi in Malindi, a prime property with close proximity to Malindi Town, Sandy Beach, international hotels and airport, private, public schools and hospitals, commercial area and police stations, fertile land, well drained with a perimeter fence all round, sufficient borehole and county water, electricity and man-made water harvesting dams for farming and fishing. Retire mapema bila pressure and grab yours today. An 8th acre at only 99k with ready title deeds. For installment payment, deposit 50%, balance in 6 months installment. Financing option available. Bustani ya Mizizi in Malindi. Mapema ndio best. For more information, contact us on 020-790-2215 or WhatsApp us on 0742-112-215, www.miziziafricahomes.com and email info@miziziafricahomes.com. Our offices are at Westlands, Watamu Court, Room 3, opposite Sarit Center. Mizizi Africa Homes, together building a solid foundation.
Well, yet again, thank you very much for staying with us. This is The Morning Drift and we are on to the final segment. Now, very interesting topic here for car owners, not only car owners, but also aspiring car owners. You know, when you buy a car, when you own a car, one of the most important things is insurance. Now, this particular morning, we'll be talking about matters motor insurance. Now, to help me, help you understand more on these matters, on this issue of motor insurance, is Mr. Joseph Muongi, who's joining us live via Skype. Mr. Muongi, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Now, by the way, Mr. Muongi is the director of Finatrack Global Limited. Last time out, we were talking about, car tracking, on vehicle tracking, if I do remember clearly. But this time around, we're talking about matters motor insurance. First of all, Mr. Joseph, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Why is it important to have this motor, to have your vehicle insured? Because there's the various types of insurances. There's for example, the comprehensive insurance. But before you take us through the different types of motor insurances, Explain to us, for someone who wants to probably buy a vehicle and get it insured, why should I? And how essential is it?
So first of all, it's a requirement by law. If you have a vehicle on the being used on any Kenyan road, it has to have vehicle insurance. So that's the first thing you need to note about vehicle insurance, is that it's not optional. And then the next important thing to note is that you take vehicle insurance to protect yourself against liability and also against losses on your end caused by losses on the vehicle to other people or also damage to yourself.
Well, thank you very much. There are various types of motor insurance. Now, how does someone get to know the type of insurance he or she should get for his or her vehicle? And is there like different insurances for privately owned motor vehicles and, for example, PSVs?
Yes. Yeah, there are different types of insurances. So the first thing to note is that there are three main types of insurance. So the first one is called third party only. So for the third party only, here you only protect yourself against liabilities where your vehicle causes losses to other people. So let's say your vehicle has hit someone else, that person can take you to court and sue you. That's where that insurance comes in and helps you. The next type is third party, fire and theft. Now you cover the same as the third party, but in this case, you'll also be compensated in the event that your vehicle is damaged due to fire or it's stolen. And then finally, we have the comprehensive. So comprehensive covers all of those, including third party, fire, theft, and also damages caused to your vehicle in the case of an accident. So this refers now to the cost of repair. And then that type of the classes of insurance now are also then categorized depending on the type of vehicle you have. So you have private vehicle insurance, commercial vehicle insurance, which is not for the trucks and cargo transporting vehicles. And then you also have now the PSV, which is the public service vehicle insurance.
Now, there's the concern by many motor vehicle owners. Sometimes you get involved in an accident, maybe. You do have the comprehensive cover. But the entire process or procedure sometimes is I'd say frustrating. Now, if at all today I do own a vehicle, of course, I safe to say I do aspire to own a vehicle one day. Specifically, I don't want to dive deep into the type of vehicle I don't want to buy, but if my car is involved in an accident, sometimes the process and the procedure of getting your car repaired using your insurance is frustrating. Sometimes it takes too long. Then if that is the case, why then should I be paying the insurance money, yet when I'm in need, it becomes difficult to access it? And or is there a certain process or procedure that you have to meet for you to get that particular insurance? All the question should be, is everything covered, or there is a certain because the assessing must be done, of course, to assess the amount of money that will be used in covering the accident or repairing your car. And sometimes if it doesn't meet a certain amount, then they cannot cater for the repairs of that particular vehicle. How does that happen? How can someone go about that?
Okay. So yes, for the claims process, especially within the Kenyan market, it's not as efficient as it's supposed to be, which is a true position. So what you need to know is that the claim process should start even before actually having a claim. By this I mean that from the moment you purchase your insurance, you need to ensure everything is in order. So let's say you've already paid for your insurance. What a lot of people fail to ask for is the receipt. So you can find, yes, you have your insurance, but the insurance company didn't really capture your receipt. So in the event that you have a claim, there'll be a lot of back and forth. So immediately you pay for your insurance, demand for you to have a receipt. So this receipt will be evidence that you've made the full payment for your premium. And then after that, also insist on having a policy document. So within the market, we find a lot of people aren't issued with the policy document. So this document simply stipulates all the processes and all the limitations of your cover. And now once you have this document, you need to go through it and totally understand it, because it will also guide you about the claims and what is to be paid and what is not to be paid. And then after that, now you have the claim process from the point of the accident. So a lot of people here also make a mistake. You're supposed to notify your insurance immediately. And this is not just calling your agent or your broker, ensuring that the information is communicated directly to the insurance company, and recommended use email for track record. So once you send the email of notification, then ensure all your documentation is in order. So they'll have to give you a claim form. So you fill the claim form, get a police abstract, and also attach details of the driver. That's the license and the ID, and send the documents over to the insurance company. And now from there, you can follow up if you have an agent, or directly follow up with the insurance company to make sure the process is hastened.
Well, talking about claims, Mr. Mwangi, there's something known as the cashless claim.
Yes.
Take us through it. And where can someone avail a cashless claim?
Cashless. By cashless, what do you mean?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
One of there's in especially under the comprehensive policy, there's a cashless claim. I don't know if you can expound on that.
Cashless? No, it's not a cashless. It's called a cash in lieu. Because cash in lieu, that usually implies that in the event that, let's say you're in a hurry, you can repair the vehicle yourself and now get compensated by the insurance company directly, instead of them taking the vehicle to the garage. So the way that the cash in lieu works, after you have an accident, the vehicle, of course, has to be taken to a garage. So once it's assessed, you are asked for a repair estimate. So you give the insurance company the repair estimate. Once they approve it, they'll give you what is called a discharge voucher. So this is a document stipulating all the parts that you need to replace, the parts that you need to repair, and the cost. So some companies give you an upfront of either between 50 and 70% for you to start the repairs. And once you're done, they do a reinspection. And if they verify that everything which was on the discharge voucher has been done, then they process for you the balance payment.
Now, apart from taking there's, like you've said, the comprehensive policy, there are other add-on covers. For example, engine protection. Why is it essential to have these add-on covers?
The add-on covers usually just enhance your protection and rather your peace of mind. So these policies are usually standard policies. So you can go from one company to the other. You find the policies are basically the same. So for the additional benefits, these are usually mainly now to cover your specific needs. And one of the most common within the Kenyan market is what we call excess protector. So for the excess protector, this ensures you against paying additional cost in the event of an accident or in the event of a claim. Because the standard comprehensive policy, which a lot of people now fail to note, it does not mean that in the event of an accident, automatically you're supposed to be compensated for the total amount of the cost of repair. There's an amount called excess, which you're supposed to foot on your end. And if you don't want to pay this excess, then you have to insure against that. And then there are also additional risks, such as political violence and terrorism, or loss of use, where you need a courtesy car. So you can purchase this as additional benefits to your cover.
Now, what is the essence? Because there is as well the issue of digital motor certificates. motor insurance certificates.
Yes.
Why is it essential? And
the digital
and as well, you were earlier talking about the issue of claims. What are just some of the grounds that a claim can be, rejected by the insuring company?
Okay. Okay. So first, for the digital motor vehicle insurance certificate, this was introduced now to curb mainly fraud and inefficiencies within the market. Because before we had this, you had to physically get the certificate printed for you on a special form of paper. So this limited you. You had to either go to the insurance office or have someone from the insurance office send it to you. And also another thing which it really helped is the case of double insurance. Because before, you could find that the same vehicle has been insured with more than one insurance company. But now with the digital certificate, you can't insure the same vehicle with more than one insurance company. Now, when you come to the claims, some of the important things to note that can make your claim not be paid is you not following the terms stipulated within the policy document. That's why I insisted for you need to have the policy document. One of these is use of the vehicle. So let's say you have a private vehicle insurance, but at the time of the claim, they find out during investigation that the vehicle was being used as a taxi. So then obviously now your claim will be declined because the nature of use of your vehicle and the type of insurance which you have is not matching. So if you want to use your vehicle as a taxi or a Uber or the Bolt, rather than the digital apps, you need to have PSV insurance. So a lot of people overlook those simple things. And then also other factors such as, was the driver at the point of the accident, was it a licensed driver driving? So if the driver has never been licensed to drive a motor vehicle, that claim can be rejected. But in the event that the vehicle, let's say the driver already had a license, but it has just expired, in such a case, it can be accepted and the claim can be paid. And then also other important things to note that can lead to your claim being rejected is also now the policy on excess. So for excess, the way it works, even if you have excess protector, they give you a percentage of the value of your car, let's say 5%. Here they say that in the event that the cost of repair is below this amount, we won't take it up as an insurance company. So that's why you find many minor accidents cannot be paid by the insurance company.
Well, Mr. Joseph, now, for instance, if my car is, under insurance and, for example, the comprehensive cover, and I end up probably being involved in an accident, and I knock someone down and probably, God forbid, they die. How does the insurance company go about that? Do I get to cover compensate probably the family of the person who's lost his life personally, or the insurance, or will the insurance come in or chip in to help with that?
Okay. So one thing we need to note is that for private vehicle, so what is covered in comprehensive is not the people inside the car. If it's a private vehicle, so what's covered is the vehicle itself, not even the driver. The driver is also not covered. But in the event of a public service vehicle, they have an additional charge in their insurance, which is called public legal liability. Now passenger legal liability. So it covers now the passengers within the car. So let's say it's a taxi or a matatu. In the event that the accident is done and the driver is to blame, the insurance company will step in and cover the costs related now to the damages or other death compensation to your passengers. But in the event that it's a private vehicle and you are to blame, the passengers within your car are not covered within your insurance. But what can happen in the event that the vehicle, another vehicle now has hit you and the other vehicle is to blame, you and the passengers within your private vehicle now claim on that other person's insurance as third party. So this is usually a legal process, and we recommend getting the services of a lawyer for you to be able to pursue this.
Now, one more thing. What happens if I've insured my car and within a period of 1 year, I've not made a claim or lodged a claim with my insurer? What happens?
So currently within the Kenyan market, once you purchase insurance, the event that you don't have any claim during that year, there's no extra benefit that you receive, because coming next year, normally what was supposed to happen was you're supposed to get a no claims discount. But now, based on the pricing which you are currently issuing insurance at, you can't be able to enjoy this benefit. So what happens is that once you're coming to renew your car, if you want to pay less, now you have to value a vehicle again. So let's say last year your vehicle was 1 million according to the valuation, and this year it's 950,000. So then that's when you can pay less now for your insurance. Only the main advantage now of you not having claims is that it does not affect your record on the insurance company. Because in the event that you have a lot of claims or major claims, the insurance company now can penalize you by increasing your premium or rather your rate.
Now, I want to know if and the viewer as well would want to understand if for instance my car is insured, Mr. Joseph, and I happen to traverse, leave Kenya, go to, for example, Somalia. What are the rules concerning crossing borders on matters of motor vehicle insurance?
So when crossing the border, you need to get an extra type of insurance. So your insurance, in most cases, is generally limited within the geography of Kenya. So if you want to cross the border, you need to get an additional insurance. And for this, you need to also consult with the insurance company. It's usually not a standard rate, and it also depends on how long you intend to stay there.
Now, yes, go on.
Yes, and then also another thing which I wanted to note is that mainly this additional insurance now covers for the liability, that party liability. So in some cases, they may tell you that for the comprehensive, that only works within the geography of Kenya, but the extra insurance will only protect you against that party liabilities in case of an accident in the neighboring country.
Can Mr. Joseph, as the insuring company or the insurer, they have the right to reject a claim. On what grounds can a claim be rejected?
So first of all is in case of fraud. So in the event of investigation and they find out that it's a fraudulent claim, that's the first ground of rejection. So they can reject your claim from there. And also another thing, in terms of rejection of a claim, is that if the claim conditions are not in accordance with what is stipulated in the policy document, then the insurance company here has a right to reject your claim. But you find that the usually statistics on this, very few claims out of the reported claims are actually rejected. So what you find is that it usually takes a long process for you to be able to verify the actual information, or rather the actual grounds on which to reject these particular claims.
Well, finally, the auto insurance. There's the auto insurance. And yes. I'd want to know, will the insurance company, or can the insurance company, of course, give a payout equal to the value of my vehicle?
So what happens here is that in the event that you had comprehensive insurance, when you have an accident, in most cases where the cost of repair is greater than 50%, the insurance company declares your vehicle as a write-off. So by saying a write-off, they mean that it's not feasible for them to repair your vehicle, and they opt out to compensate you the value of your car. So this value is in accordance to the valuation report, which you should have done before purchasing the insurance. So let's say, according to the valuation, the value of your car was 900,000. So now the company has to compensate you this 900,000, but you on your end, you have to submit the salvage, which is now the damaged vehicle, and also copy of the logbook and do the transfer to the insurance company, and then they can dispose it. They can also give you an option to retain the salvage and reduce the amount based on the valuation of the salvage, the amount which they compensate you.
Well, finally, Mr. Joseph, still on matters auto insurance. If that particular policy expires, before they renew that particular policy, what is the process? Do they have to come back again and, of course, reassess the value of your car, or how do they go about it? Finally,
when it comes to renewal, most cases, a lot of people fail to do the valuation again, but it's recommended. It's good practice for you to do your valuation every year, because you're not the person paying for this valuation. The insurance company usually covers the cost of the valuation. Now, once they pay for your valuation, this will affect the premium which you pay, because in the case of comprehensive insurance, you pay as a percentage of the value of the car. But for third-party insurance, you can simply renew every year because it's not based on the value of the car. And also an important tip which I can make is, if you need more information about claims, there is a website, www.claims.co.ke. So it's a general website mainly focusing on the Kenyan market. So you get specific information related to the claim process, and you can also get a better understanding of how to handle your claim. And in the case that you need, let's say, legal assistance or legal follow-up, there's also a portal which connects you now to the lawyers who deal with insurance matters. They're within the Kenyan context.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joseph Mwangi, for joining us this particular morning.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure having you.
Okay, that was Mr. Joseph Mwangi, of course, the director of a Finatruck company. He's been talking about matters of motor insurance. Talking about cars. This weekend, the WRC will be going down or happening in Naivasha. Many Kenyans, of course, will be thronging Naivasha and Nakuru County to witness the Safari Rally spectacle. Now, that is all we had for you today here on The Morning Drift. But before I sign out, we'll be following up on various stories for you today. Remember, the embattled Siaya County Deputy Governor William Oduor will be appearing before the Senate committee today and trying to, rescue himself because he was impeached by the County Assembly last week. As well, Moses Kuria will be appearing before the Senate committee today. That is one particular story that will be following up for you in the wake of his sentiments and the reactions that have come after, of course, hurled unprintable and used derogatory words against the media. Of course, we'll be seeking to understand now what is next. What next for the Azimio La Umoja coalition after the finance bill was passed? What does Raila Odinga have to say in regards to that? Thank you very much for joining us this particular morning on The Morning Drift. Until tomorrow, I have been Ian Keitany. I've been your host, Ian Keitany. Until tomorrow, do have yourself a lovely day, and remember, you can watch and get to understand what is happening across the country. Read our stories on www.lookuptv.co.ke to understand what is happening across all the 47 counties. We'll be coming to you at 1 with Tarifa Q, at 4 trending news, at 7 Look Up Tarifa, and exactly at 9 with The Insight.